Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Compliance Online webinar, Introduction to Root Cause Investigation for CAPA. Our speaker for today is Vanessa Lopez, who has held a wide variety of leadership roles in the medical device, pharmaceutical, and environmental regulated industries, as well as the consulting service industry.
CAPA versus what is correction. CAPA, it is the acronym for Corrective and Preventive Action. It is a subsystem within the quality system, and it is expected to be effective once you implement it, and you need to be compliant with it. CAPA is a critical quality subsystem that, when executed correctly, it can provide the organization with a clear payback in terms of what? In terms of improved compliance, effectiveness, and operational efficiency. And for your knowledge, it is historically, in the medical device industry, one of the 10 deficiencies on 483s and on warning letters. Okay, so now we're going to the difference or the similarities between what FDA requires and what ISO requires with regards to the CAPA. So we start off with ISO 13485 of the year 16, which is medical devices quality management system for regulatory purposes. So if you go to 8.5.2, it will talk about the corrective action. If you go to 8.5.3, it will talk about the preventive action. So it states on 13485, the organization for corrective action, the organization shall take action to eliminate the cause of nonconformities in order to prevent recurrence. Any necessary corrective action shall be taken without undue delay. So this last part that you see in blue, that one was, those words were added to the ISO 13485-16 version. In other words, what was added to that 2016 version is that it must be clear that the corrective action is performed on a timely manner. Corrective action shall be proportionate or appropriate to the effects of the nonconformities encountered. The procedure of your corrective action shall define review of nonconformities, including customer complaints. The corrective action procedure shall define also determine of cause of the nonconformity. The procedure has to address also or define evaluation corresponding to the need for action to ensure that nonconformities do not recur. The procedure also needs to address determination, which will be part of your planning and documentation and implementation of actions needed, including, if appropriate, updating the documentation. So, okay, CAPA's criticality in quality systems. CAPA is such a critical part in the quality system that internal as well as external sources feed into it. So, therefore, guess what? When a device company is inspected, the CAPA system will be looked at in detail because the FDA investigator can obtain a lot of information on how your quality system is working in terms of compliance and effectiveness of the controls that you have established. Therefore, the regulated company should pay close attention to their CAPA systems. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about risk management as part of CAPA. And we start off with risk assessment process needs to be well defined. Risk is the combination of the probability of occurrence of a harm and the severity of that harm. Classify the issue according to the risk it possesses. For example, you may classify them as critical, major, or minor. All three of these may be used in terms of risk, and some companies define them for the recall definition. So therefore, critical would be that there is a reasonable chance the product will cause serious health problems or death. That would be like a recall type 1. Major is risk would be less serious. A root cause analysis investigation and the challenges associated to the root cause analysis. Root cause analysis investigation is the analysis, investigation necessary to determine the original or true cause of a system, product, or process nonconformity. The challenges in trying to find that root cause, meaning the true root cause, could be lack or poor knowledge of root cause analysis problem-solving tools and how to apply them. Lack or poor understanding of potential quality data sources to use during your investigation. Another challenge could be there is not a team or a unit or a person responsible to track the time frame of completion and follow-up before deadlines. Therefore, backlog and no accountability system in place. And there are many other challenges. These are the 6 steps in problem solving. First, you identify the problem and the initial causes of that problem. Then you perform an initial evaluation to understand the initial magnitude of the problem and initial risk category. Observe that I repeat initial various times here. Why? Because not until you have enough data to evaluate and until you perform your root cause analysis investigation will you have a clearer picture of the magnitude and the bottom line risk involved in the problem. Okay, you then compile data, including data trending from quality data sources, which I gave you back in 2 slides. I believe it was slide 9 or slide 9 and slide 10. So the CAPA data, including data trending from quality data sources, you review, you evaluate, and you analyze the data that is significant as to determine if it is a product or a quality issue, and if the issue is considered to be significant. Layout of work, forces of nature, improper control of temperature or pressure. You have another category, which is manpower. The root cause of a problem can be due to no or poor management involvement, inadequate capabilities, lack of knowledge or of skill. However, just the Pareto chart, which shows on a bar graph which factors are more important. The length of the bars represent frequency and are arranged with the longest bars on the left and the shortest to the right. In this way, the chart visually depicts which situations are more significant. The y-axis is frequency or quantity, and the x-axis is possible causes. So in this particular one, you could see you have documentation, you have product quality, you have packaging, you have delivery, and others. Our conclusion section, and our conclusion, we're on slide 22, by the way. In our conclusion section, it starts out with effectiveness checks are critical in order to assess, to evaluate if the true root cause was identified. Action plans put into place and implemented, and these are effective, meaning that there was no reoccurrence when you did your effectiveness check. The effectiveness check is not a once data or a one-time event. You need to assess throughout a predetermined period. That's what I said some slides back. When you're doing your effectiveness check, it's not a one-time event. You have to determine for what period will you do your effectiveness check. So that's why I'm stating that you need to assess throughout a predetermined period. Then you have monitoring, which is periodic checks are necessary to ensure that the corrective action continues to be effective. So monitoring of data through trending, CAPA review words, management review. Root cause is the fundamental true reason an event occurred, and when identified and an effective action plan implemented, it will prevent the problem or the event from reoccurring. CAPA deficiencies, such as inadequate procedures, failing to investigate sufficiently, failing to identify true root causes, not using quality sources during the investigation, not meeting time frames to complete actions per task, not calling out for a recall or reporting an adverse event, the latter absent or was not reported for regulated